Mark Kinizerov of the New York Post joins us now. And Mark, Giants GM Joe Shane made some comments today down at the Senior Bowl about quarterback Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. And obviously both of those players are going to be due new contracts here. And the Giants are in a critical offseason here after having a really strong season this past year, obviously with a playoff win and exiting in the NFC divisional round against the Eagles. So when you heard Joe Shane's comments of we want Daniel back, how does that make you feel about how the GM and the team feel about Daniel Jones bringing him back?
Well, there's little question for since the end of this season that the Giants want Daniel Jones back, and even though Daniel Jones was coy, in some of his comments at the day after the season, he did say he wanted to come back, but here's the bottom line with this marriage, so to speak, is they kind of both need each other, in my opinion. That's not to say that Daniel Jones is not going to be a marketable guy on the open market, but it's going to be fascinating to see what he's asking for, what he's looking for. The Giants have the option of franchise tagging, but that's $32 million for just 2023, and that's all on the cap, which they want no part of. If Daniel Jones is looking for $40 million a year for 5 years, then that's going to be a tough sign on the Giants' part, a tough signing, so to speak. I feel like this is probably going to end up somewhere in the low 30s, maybe 3 or 4 years, whatever. I don't know. I'm literally just tossing stuff out there, and these aren't things I've heard, but maybe 4 years, 30 million a year, 32, whatever, 35 max. I don't know. I mean, I have high respect for Daniel Jones, and I think that he found the perfect spot when Brian Daboll came in, right? And I mean, he extracted the best out of Daniel Jones. And I wonder if Daniel Jones goes somewhere else to another quarterback needy team, wherever that may be, Carolina, you name it. Listen, I think the Jets would love to have him. I mean, I think that would be a great landing spot. I don't think the Giants would ever let that happen. But I think what Joe Shane said today to our colleague at Paul Schwartz and a couple of other reporters down at the Senior Bowl today was not surprising. Of course, they want him back, and I'm not alarmed by the fact that they haven't started negotiations yet. There's plenty of time for that. I think what's going to happen is, and I think what Joe said today is, they need to find out from Daniel's advisors what the parameters are that they're looking for, and in terms of years and average salary and whatnot. I'm going to be very surprised at the end of the day, and that he's not re-signed. And hopefully we won't have to do a video 3 months from now when he is, donning, whatever, green and white for the Jets, or teal or whatever they wear down in Carolina. But I really do believe that he's going to end up here because it's a good fit for him and it's a good fit for the Giants. And Daniel doesn't come off to me as a guy that's, like it's trying to break the bank. He doesn't just seem like that kind of guy to me. He obviously wants to be paid fair value. And at the end of the day, the Giants, I'm sure, are kicking themselves for not picking up that 5th-year option before this year. And, I wouldn't blame Daniel if he had a little, can we say red ass on this video? I don't know on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Of course.
I mean, he, at the end of the day, the Giants in not picking that up, allowed him to bet on himself, so to speak. And he won this year. I mean, let's face it, he's going to make a lot more money than he ever probably would have. I think they're delighted. Obviously, I know they're delighted with the way that he played this year. He just seems like such a great fit for Daboll. Daboll seems like a great fit for Daniel, most importantly. And I don't see him leaving the Giants for a few million more somewhere else to have to start all over again in a new system. This is a guy that's in the prime of his career, and this is a time when his career should take off. And I think it'd be detrimental to him to go somewhere else and start all over again. And, then maybe he becomes Sam Darnold. Maybe he doesn't excel and he's back in Never Never Land, and he's a starter one week and a backup the next week. So I think he's certainly better than Sam Darnold, but I'm just using Sam as an example. So I think he's going to be back. And I'm not alarmed that they're not well into negotiations at this point, because we're 10 minutes since the season ended, and these guys are in full, college scouting mode and whatnot. But, give it some time. I think it'll be done.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Giants fans are going to be obviously paying attention to what Shane has to say, Daboll has to say, and how this negotiation works out. And another key cog in that offense was Saquon Barkley, who had another great season this year for the Giants. He obviously goes into the offseason with no contract. So when you look at him and where he stands in this offense, do you see him coming back next year?
I'm a little more questionable about that, Ryan, only because of the reports that the Giants had offered him, I think a 3-year deal averaging about $12.5 million a year. I believe that's what Paul reported with us at the Post. And I mean, Saquon said at the end of the year, the day after the season, that he wasn't looking to set any markets. Well, the market set is Christian McCaffrey. I believe it's about $16 million a year. So I mean, I don't know if Saquon's trying to bleed an extra million a year out of the Giants or whatever. I don't know where he's trying to go with that. At the end of the day, if he's going to stay with the Giants, I think it's going to end up around $12 or $13 million a year. I don't see the Giants going, up to 15 or 16 million. I'd be surprised if they do that. Saquon is he's a guy that should be a lifetime Giant. Romantically, we all want that to be, who follow New York sports, if you're a Giant fan or whatever. But, does Saquon really want to go somewhere else? If say the Giants won't go higher than 12.5, 13, and somebody's offering 14.5, is that worth Saquon going to start all over again when he's got something going here? I don't know. I mean, it's all on these guys. In fairness, Saquon has not made the big contract, so this is his chance to cash. And thank goodness for him, he's gotten healthy and become productive again. So, but I do think his status is a little more questionable than Daniel, because I feel like the Giants and Daniel need each other more than the Giants need Saquon. I'm not saying that Saquon needs the Giants, because I think Saquon can go somewhere else and excel. But I think Saquon wants to remain here, and I think because of that, at the end of the day, if he takes 12.5 or 13 million a year, that's going to be good enough.
Well, Mark, it's going to be another busy offseason for the Giants, and I appreciate you as always giving us your insight, man.
Anytime, Ryan. Good talking to you.